I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. Rushing like a bullet into the end zone. Defense, hold up, no scoring in the red zone. Throw it up, pick 6, I feel like I'm Josh Rowe. Throwing downs over the shoulder, think I'm Jack Winmo. I need me back to back, trying to be like Vulture. Cause a storm, cause I'm mighty, it's in the culture. Esports TV, YouTube, Twitch, SFL live tuning, you don't wanna miss. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. Next level like my entertainment. NXT on the stream, 8 p.m. on the beat. Catch me on the cam like I'm SFL commence. Yeah, you only got one chance, you can never miss. For the glory, revolution, feel my fury. Cause I'm a legend out in Canton, and I'm playing with dragons. I'm the king of this legion. SFL action, tuning this season.
Kickoff! Are you kidding me?
All they're gonna need is
Big pop, it's up in the air!
Oh,
There you go!
that's a kickoff that is gonna win! He's gonna go! Taser power! Touchdown!
I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up. I've been waiting all week for some SFL action. On a big screen, I feel like I'm Ashley Jackson. Quarterback sneak, 4th and 3, man, what's happening? Touchdown, championships trying to stack up.
And welcome to the SFL here in week number 5. Along with Mike St. Green, I'm Cameron Irvine, and today is game day. The Portland Fleet and the Baltimore Vultures taking on each other shortly here on Next Level Sports. Mike, good Saturday evening to you. How's your weekend going?
Hey, weekend's going great, Cam. Good to see you again. Great to be here. Man, we've had a hectic first few weeks of the season. We're finally getting, settled in on and off the field this week. I see you have, the headquarters have relocated. We did some adjustments back here at the MSG studios here in Houston. So, man, we're ready to go for week 4.
We're certainly working on things, and it has been a whirlwind, Mike. We had the convention week 1, and then we got a bunch of people sick in week 2. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the headquarter move, and we had 42 games, I think, in 14 days because of the way the convention fell and all that other stuff. So we're settling in. 8 teams are on a bye this week, but Baltimore and Portland kick off next here on Next Level Sports. And this is an interesting matchup, Mike. Heavy dogs are Portland at home, but the only time these two teams met before was also in Portland, and the Fleet took Baltimore to overtime, and Baltimore were heavy favorites in that game too. Your initial thoughts on Baltimore and Portland this evening?
Yeah, just two teams actually, Cam, that on opposite ends of the spectrum. Baltimore defending champs. They've started the season off 3-0. The Portland Fleet, they've started off this season 0-3. But one thing that's a little different that I see about this Baltimore Vulture squad this season thus far is that potent offense that we typically see from them. They have not quite gotten things going in full gear thus far this season. But Jack Wigmore, he did have a big game last week in a huge comeback against the against the Vancouver Legion. These guys came back from 18. Wigmore with 383 yards and a couple of touchdowns. But when you look at the stat sheet, you don't see these receivers at the top of the stat sheet. You really have to do some looking to find Ivory Irvin, Mac Chima, and Bailey Holden, the rest of these guys that usually, we see put up big numbers. But what we do have from Baltimore, this defense, Cam, Nate Brown, Al Walker, 4 sacks each for this team. And also Nate Brown, he's tied for the league lead with 7 tackles for loss. So that great defensive line over there is really doing a great job. These guys are only giving up about 16 points a game thus far. So they've been great defensively, and that's why they're still 3-0.
A lot of times, Mike, Max Paul knows this in Florida. Jeremy Vega knows this in Denver. And T-Pat and TJ know this in Baltimore. A lot of times the best teams aren't on the leaderboards. They don't have any standout players because everybody's getting involved and everybody's super balanced. And that has been the name of the game for Baltimore's offense so far this season. And I agree, Mike, this defense is special. They're playing some incredible football right now. And for Portland, it's the opposite. The offense has been terrific. Gene Valentine has been outstanding. Cyrus Jive is really dialing it up for the Portland Fleet so far this season. And the Portland offense has really been getting going through the passing game. Ezekiel Love has struggled. His numbers are a little down. But the defense is the big key tonight here for Portland, Mike. If they want to pull this upset, they got to clean it up on that end of the ball.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Cam. But as you mentioned first, let's talk about this offense. And you mentioned the top of the leaderboard. You're going to find rookie quarterback Cyrus Jive over 1,000 yards passing thus far in the first couple of games of the season. Has three touchdown passes to go along with 6 interceptions, which is not that great. They need to clean that up a little bit. He also has 8 sacks. They have to do a better job of protecting them. And you mentioned Gene Valentine. He's 4th in the league right now in receiving yards. But as also mentioned, it hasn't interpreted into wins. And now let's talk about that defense that has been struggling, and this is not the right team to try to get it together against. But if they can pull off anything today defensively, now is the time to do that. These guys are giving up over 39 points a game, and that's not going to get it done, not only against Baltimore, but nobody in this league giving up that many points.
The good news, Mike, is this is a great week to start fresh if you're Portland because you want to show Baltimore something totally different, and what you had wasn't working anyway. So you get to throw it out, and you get to give them something new. So that's going to be an interesting part of all of this. Well, this is not the only game here on the Saturday slate around the Simulation Football League today. We have 3 other games kicking off later tonight. At first, it's 7 o'clock. On the SFL Twitch channel, Sioux Falls and Indianapolis. You'll see some game breaks, some live look-ins to that game coming up a little bit later here on our coverage on Next Level Sports. Then on Rare Drop, Los Angeles and Vancouver, a pair of 2-1 teams in the Pacific fighting for divisional supremacy once again, like they do it every year. And then the late game tonight, the Canton Classics versus the Tulsa Desperados. Unfortunately, Canton's Kendra Hall has found herself in the hospital. She's dealing with COVID complications. We are really praying for her recovery. With this community has had enough problems, enough pain over the last month or so, and Canton's had enough pain through the first 3 weeks of the season. Mike, start wherever you'd like.
Well, let's start out in the Pacific with Los Angeles and Vancouver. That's going to be a great matchup, as you mentioned later today. Vancouver had the Vultures on the ropes last weekend and let them off the hook. And LA, they actually had Baltimore, on the ropes a couple of weeks before that and let them off the hook. So it's going to be a great matchup out there in the Pacific to see who can come out and be in first place at a third of the way through the season. But the game that we're going to have bonus coverage, Sioux Falls coming off of a tough, heartbreaking loss to Motor City last weekend, that first loss of the season. And talking about struggling defenses, the Indianapolis Ramblers, they've really been struggling on defense this season. They're giving up over 33 points a game. These guys had one of the greatest, the greatest comeback in SFL history a couple of weeks ago, man. But that defense, they are having a hard time stopping people. 6 rookies, new franchise. Maybe they'll start coming, rounding into shape here, as we start progressing through the season. But it's going to be a tough matchup for them going up against that great Sioux Falls team who likes to grind it out, control the clock and play great defense of their own.
Mike St. Green's mic is plugged in, and so is Liam Crowder and Eric Vincents. They will be on the call for tonight's game from the Shipyard. Baltimore and Portland is coming up next when the SFL on Next Level Sports returns after this commercial break. Good luck to both teams, and we'll see you at halftime.
Next Level Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the Simulation Football League.
Welcome to Portland, Oregon for this Week 4 Simulation Football League matchup live on Next Level Sports. We're at the Shipyard, home of the Portland Fleet, where they welcome the reigning champion Baltimore Vultures in this cross-divisional matchup between Atlantic and West Division teams. I'm your play-by-play commentator, Liam Crowther, and joining me for today's contest on analysis is Eric Vinson. Good day, Eric. What are you most looking forward to in today's matchup?
Well, good day, Liam, and good day to the rest of the SFL Nation out there watching live on Next Level Sports. It's going to be a good matchup, I think, between these two teams. Portland has struggled mightily on defense, as they talked about in the pregame show, Mike and Cam did, and they're going to have to right the ship, no pun intended, against the champs here, against the Baltimore Vultures. Only 5 takeaways for this Portland Fleet defense, and they're going to have to force Jack Wigmore into making some mistakes, sacking the quarterback, throwing interceptions, and keeping points off the board, as that defense for Portland is giving up almost 40 points a game. And for Baltimore, run the football. This Portland defense, they give up a ton of yardage on the ground, 185 yards on the ground average through 3 weeks of the season. And that's going to be the bread and butter there, is to give Warren Murray the football and watch him run all over the yard.
Great to have you on the call, Eric, and the coin toss has taken place, and it looks like Baltimore will win the toss, and looks like they elected to receive. So we will have Portland kicking from left to right in their all blacks. It's a blackout here at the Shipyard to the Baltimore Vultures in their all white uniforms with red numbers and red helmets. And the kick is away, and we are underway with this first Saturday evening matchup between the Baltimore Vultures and the Portland Fleet. Brought up to the 26-yard line for Baltimore's first offensive drive. Jack Wigmore under centre, Warren Murray and T-Roy Gaines in the backfield. Wide receivers Ivory Irvin, Daley Holder and Mac Chima, and DJ Bandit and Lloyd Graham Jr. at the tight end spots. Baltimore coming out in their characteristic heavy set here. 2 backs in the backfield, and that's going to be a jump almost immediately for Portland. Those nerves are showing, Eric.
Yep, they're showing right away here, and they're wanting to get into the backfield to make sure that they stop the running backs. They know how much yardage they've been giving up on defense to opposing running backs and opposing running threats, and they want to make sure they get a stop right away. Unfortunately for them, it's a little bit too quick on the gun.
The defense for the Portland Fleet, Robert Brewer, Derwin Nuevo, Luis Negron, and Jubu McSlim at the defensive line. Linebackers Mel Davis, Khalil Thomas, and Brody Gulch. In the defensive backfield, Chris Stash, Derek Majors, Leo Morris, Bernard Smith, Joseph Lama, and Dale McLean. And Baltimore are stopped at the line of scrimmage there, so good defensive stop early here, but they're going to have to do that all day against Warren Murray and T-Roy Gaines, Eric.
Yeah, we're going to have to see exactly how long this Portland defense can stand tall against this formidable rushing attack of Warren Murray and T-Roy Gaines.
2nd and 5, and Baltimore come out in a single back set. 5-step drop. That's a throw and that's a catch, and that's an excellent pickup of a first down for the Baltimore Vultures. Jack Wigmore under center, and that is 88. Mac Chima with the reception, the 2-time All-Star.
And Chima was able to just skirt free. It was an impressive route tree on that play call there by Baltimore. Did just enough to get them the yardage that they needed, and then some, to move the sticks and get them closer to midfield.
2 in the backfield for Baltimore. They come out in this set a few times already tonight. That's handed off to the back, and that is all the way up to the 49-yard line of Baltimore. That was the fullback, it looked like there. 34, T-Roy Gaines, 9 seasons in the SFL, and he is proving just what value fullbacks can add to any offense. They're coming out in this set again, two in the backfield, and everybody in the box for Portland, and they will run it again, and that's a pick up of a first down, a little bit more, all the way up to the 41-yard line for Baltimore into Portland territory.
And that's the danger for the defense. When you go ahead and you load up the box like that, it is very feast or famine. Right there ended up being famine for Portland as Baltimore's offense was able to get hat on hat and bust open a big hole there for T-Roy to get the first down yardage and more.
Single receiver out wide, but they're going to run it again, and that is number 34, T-Roy Gaines. He's had more of the ball than Warren Murray. Clearly, Thomas Paternetti feeling like the running game is what is going to give Baltimore the edge here. That's the coaching staff for the Baltimore Vultures. Tim Johnston and Thomas Paternetti sharing head coaching duties and both sides of the ball. And they will pick up nearly another first down. Portland showing their struggles early on defense. They have a brittle defense, and it has shown tonight against the dynasty of the SFL so far, Eric.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, a ton of yardage being given up on the ground by the Portland defense, trying to stand tall against a very formidable rushing attack with the Baltimore Vultures here. We'll have to see what they do on 3rd and short. And
Portland coming out in a free defensive line set, defensive lineman, and they're not able to stop number 21, Warren Murray, on his first carry of the day. And this could get ugly fast, Eric.
Yeah, and Baltimore looks like that's what their game plan is. As we talked about at the top of the broadcast, they're looking to run the football and run the football mightily against this Portland defense. And a 3-3 call was not the best call to go for in that particular situation on a 3rd and short.
They come out with 4 down linemen this time, and that'll be a throw and that'll be a catch. So Baltimore, it's what we expected in this first drive of the game so far. They're all the way up into Portland's red zone, and 2nd and 5 here.
And Baltimore just needs to handle their business. You know, they know they got a ton of weapons on offense. They know they have a great run game. Rely on that run game. Let your great defense go ahead and take over the football game later on once Portland gets the ball on offense.
Baltimore coming out with the weak eye, and they will run it up to the 19-yard line. Good hustle from Portland to the ball defense there from number 20 of the Portland Fleet defense. That was Bernard Smith out of the free safety spot. And crucial 3rd down here early, Eric.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see. Good pursuit on the back end by the defense. Another 3-3 look here for Portland.
3-step drop. That's a throw. That's a catch. And it could be a little bit more than the first down. 83 on the reception there. Lloyd Graham Jr. and his counterpart on the other side of the offensive line, DJ Bandit, a recruit from the Atlanta Swarm. 2 tight end sets are becoming increasingly prominent in the SFL. And Baltimore are one of the prime advocates as the ongoing dynasty of the league. 3 wide receivers set out here, though. 2 in the backfield. That's going to be a 3-step drop. That's going to be a throw. That's going to be a catch. And that is going to be a touchdown. They will call it. And number 10, Ivory Irvin, with the first touchdown of the night, but got popped for his efforts. And do you think they're going to bring this back, Eric? This is close, but I'm not even sure Portland would bother challenging it. That was 25. Derek Majors with the hit.
I don't think it's going to be a challenge this early on in the ball game. It doesn't look like we will see it, but there was just far too much room that was given to Ivory Irvin down there up at the bottom of the screen. It was glaring as soon as he came out of the formation that he had all sorts of room to operate, and sure enough, had just enough room to get himself into the end zone.
Ominous signs early from the Baltimore Vultures, and the kick is up and good. 7 points on the board. If you're new to the SFL, the Simulation Football League combines traditional sports, esports, and a role-playing game into one. Team strategies are being executed in real time by our simulations as real-life players compete on the virtual gridiron. For more information about the SFL, visit our website at www.simulationfl.net. The SFL, we put the fan in fantasy. Early score here for the Baltimore Vultures at the Shipyard in Portland, Oregon. And the Baltimore Vultures will be hoping to do a professional job on this one-game stand away from home. The Portland Fleet offense will come onto the board. Cyrus Jive under center, Ezekiel Love, Jacob Farmer in the backfield. Israel Adams, Benjamin Warner, and Gene Valentine are the wide receivers. Tight end is Nelson Lozano Jr., single tight end for Portland. And 2 offensive linemen, the left tackle Randy Fatt III and Jaden Taylor is the center. 3 wide receiver set here for the Portland Fleet. 5-step drop. That's a deep throw, and that's nearly picked off. The safety coming in and breaking up that pass there, Eric.
Yeah, Troy Loshaw, he's one of the more dangerous safeties in the league as we get the spotlight on him. Read it the entire way. Great break on the football. And this is not how you want to game plan against this Baltimore defense. Really, I'm not sure how you would game plan against this Baltimore defense because that front 4 is particularly nasty, especially against the run and the pass.
Well, your other option in safeties is Giovanni Bolt. And the 6-time All-Star, and you got the choice between Troy Loshaw or Giovanni Bolt to throw against. It's tricky either way. So 4 wide receivers out wide here for the Portland Fleet. That is a throw, and that is a catch, and that is an excellent play from the Portland Fleet. Let's check in on that Baltimore Vultures defense. Joe Duncan, Al Walker, Nate Brown, and Cyron Yates IV for the defensive linemen. Linebacking core is Frank Smith, Alvin Mack, and Devin King. Cornerbacks are Enzo Bolt, Marvin Himes, Ben Stacking Paper, and Elijah Warfield. As we mentioned, safeties Giovanni Bolt and Troy Loshaw. And this is a run for the Portland Fleet. And that was number 21, Ezekiel Love, one of the up-and-coming finesse backs in this league. 5 seasons in the SFL and a 2-time All-Star already. A player I've admired for quite some time, Eric.
Yeah, and Zeke Love, he's one of the, as you mentioned, the up-and-coming backs in the league. Almost 300 yards on the ground so far through 3 games, averaging almost 5 yards a clip. That's certainly a recipe for success. If you're Portland, you're going to have to rely heavily on him and definitely do some off-tackle runs.
1st and 10 here inside Baltimore territory, and the Portland Fleet be looking to make something of this with their high-powered offense. But that is a fumble, and that is recovered. Fortunately, by the Portland Fleet. I think this one might come back, Eric. I think that might call that an incomplete pass, but challenges not worth as much here as they are in the second half. So let's see what they go with here. They're not going to challenge it, and that'll be 2nd and 5. And let's see what Portland do here. They're going to come out and gun straight. And Baltimore, they like playing a lot of bump. They're playing up on this here. And this is going to be a throw, and that is a catch, and that is 82 on the reception. That is Gene Valentine. Excellent play there by Portland after a tricky couple of plays there.
Yeah, and they touched on, Cam and Mike touched on Gene Valentine in the pregame show as well, as he's putting up very impressive numbers, over 12 yards a catch, over 400 yards through 3 weeks, and he's going to be a big-time target here for Cyrus Jive this afternoon.
Strong power eye here for the Portland Fleet, and they are going to try and use a bit of Baltimore's own stratagem against them. They will only pick up a couple of yards there, but Portland Fleet, they have got a high-powered offense. We know that for sure. But let's see if they can keep pace with this Baltimore Vultures team. They're going to come out with single back set here, 3 wide for the Portland Fleet. Cyrus Jive under center. He'll take a 5-step drop. That is a throw, and that is a catch, and that is an excellent play for the Portland Fleet right into the red zone.
Yeah, Nelson Lozano Jr., the big tight end, using all 6'6", 255 of his frame to wriggle off that defender as he caught the football. Great job here. That was number 35 over on the other side, Ben Stackenpaper, who's no slouch himself at corner, and was able to shrug him off like a bad suit.
Portland in striking distance of getting a first touchdown of the day for this hometown crowd here. They're going to come out and gun straight again, a favourite of many SFL teams. They're going to go with 90 all slants. That is a lot of pressure, and that is a sack. First sack of the day for the Baltimore Vultures. And that'll be a share between number 93 and number... didn't catch the other defensive lineman there. But 93 is going to be Al Walker. Excellent play there. And... Portland are pegged back slightly. 2nd and 17 here. They're on Baltimore's 20-yard line, so still in the red zone. Going to come out with quads here. 4 wide receivers, 2 out wide on each side. There we go with all slights again here. And that is not a fumble. That is an incomplete pass. And it is bobbled all over the place. And I think Baltimore recovered it. But almost certainly this one is coming back, Eric.
Yeah, I did not see a football move on that one there. I know the last play that we had seen something like this, the point of contention that we've seen a lot in the league this season has been the football move. And did he make the football move? Did he have firm possession of the football? Looking at that in real time and then looking at it on the replay, there's no firm possession of that football. Looking at it, from my opinion, that's going to be an incomplete pass, and this is a good challenge by Portland.
Mel Davis Jr. throws the challenge flag, and we will get our first replay review of the day. R62 heads into the booth to have a look at this. And it's actually, with these fumble calls that the referees are making, when you look at it in slow motion, it does actually look closer than in real time. But in real time, you're looking at that, and almost certainly I could call that as an incomplete pass. And I think Mel Davis will be justified in his call here, and he is. So that will come back. Portland retain possession, but just shows the danger of Baltimore defense, which has 7 individual all-stars, at least one all-star appearance for each of those members of the defense. And Portland will come out 3rd and 17, so they've got to make a big play at least to get the first down. They're going to come out and gun straight again, and Baltimore playing up again with this bump coverage. Looks like they're going more for man, and man certainly did the job there. That was a coverage sack, as number can't catch the number there of that player. Number 93. It was Walker again. So that's his second of the day. The 2-time All-Star having a big impact early, and that brings out number 9, Joey Raab, the second round pick in the past SFL M draft, to take the field goal. Snap is good. There's a bit of pressure on it, but that is up and that is good. 43 yards is the measurement on the field. And Portland get the first points on the board, but they are going to be... they're going to have a bad night if they want to catch up onto Baltimore's coattails all night. But a far faster start for Baltimore tonight than they did last week against Vancouver.
Yeah, and that was a promising-looking drive for Portland. It just fizzled out towards the end when they were faced with long down and distance situations. And those 2 sacks by Al Walker, putting him at 6.5 on the young season already, those proved to be very detrimental for the Portland offense.
Returned for Baltimore, and number 10 is still going, runs back a little bit. I think they might give him forward progress there, so they call that on the 26-yard line. That was number 10, Ivory Irvin. Called his name a couple of times already today, and the 4-time All-Star, the key piece of this Baltimore offense. But there are stars across this squad, Eric.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just look down the list of the roster and you see All-Star after All-Star after All-Star. Giovanni Bolti, 6-time All-Star on defense.
And that is a run up the middle, and that is a big gain, 9 yards there for number 34, T-Roy Gaines. He is getting his yardage in today. Warren Murray has been called so often since he signed with this Baltimore Vultures side last season. And he is, well, you can see his stats there, 3 attempts, 10 yards. He's not getting the workload that he might normally get, but T-Roy Gaines is picking up the slack there. And Baltimore will run it again, and this is going to be at the outside, and that will be Murray. And he is off to the house until he is stopped by a hustling Portland defense, and he is all the way up to the 31-yard line into Portland territory.
And this is where things get dangerous for the Portland defense. Good blocking there. T-Roy Gaines toting the rock early on, but he's a very impressive blocker from his fullback spot. Very good lead block there to go ahead and spring Warren Murray free along that far sideline. And then it was just good pursuit on the back end by Bernard Smith to hustle all the way over to the other side and make that tackle there. Big run for Warren Murray.
Another 3 D-line set here for the Portland Fleet, and it works that time. But we've seen certainly this week so far, the Motor City London game, a lot of free defensive linemen base nickel and dime, and when you're running the ball repeatedly, like Baltimore are showing you can do here, it wears down any good defense in this league. They will come out with 2 backs this time. It's going to be an I formation, Jokers. And they will hand it off again. That will be Warren Murray. And Warren Murray spins and he gets up to the 23-yard line. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. It is 7 to the Baltimore Vultures, 3 to the Portland Fleet. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports, and you are watching the Baltimore Vultures take on the Portland Fleet. Baltimore driving deep into Portland territory up to the 15-yard line. I'm Liam Crowther, joined by Eric Vincent. Eric, a difficult first quarter for Portland on defense. What do they have to do to get Drac Wigmore out of his rhythm? 43 yards, 142 QBR already.
I mean, really, the offense is going through the run game right now with Warren Murray and T-Roy Gaines. They got to put a stop to them if they want success.
And they will stop him short of the first down marker there. That's 2nd and 3. And on the Portland 8-yard line, T-Roy Gaines has made up most of the running for this Baltimore Vultures side so far today. And I suspect we're going to see this heavy set that Baltimore have favoured so much. They're going to come out in weak power I. Actually, it looks like strong power I flips, so they're running to the weak side. And they will run it out of the middle, and they will run it for a touchdown. Number 21, Warren Murray with the touchdown. And that has been coming for a few plays now, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you get into these close yardage situations here, as Baltimore was in the red zone, they know that they're going to give the football to their tailback, Warren Murray, and they have impressive blocking up front. It was just hat on hat. The only person that could have stopped him is in the third level of the defense, Bernard Smith. And if you're asking Warren Murray to beat a one-on-one tackle, he's going to beat it 9 times out of 10.
Special teams grouping here for the Baltimore Vultures. Shark Tarkington will be taking a kick here, but Matty Coffins, the rookie, is the contracted punter for the Baltimore Vultures. So punters few and far between in the SFL, but Matty Coffins has got himself a slot on the best team in the SFL right now. And it is 14-3 for the Baltimore Vultures. The SFL has partnered with Rare Drop and Rare Drop Sports to advance live events and distribution. Live and in-person championship weekends, rookie drafts and community events are in the works. Check out SFL games on their Twitch channel Friday through Sunday evenings And follow Rare Drop Sports at twitch.tv/RD Sports. And the Portland Fleet with a bit of a return and hustle there from number 29. That was the returner there for the Portland Fleet, bringing it up to the 25-yard line. Excellent work there to eke out some extra yards.
Yeah, but setting up shop from the 25, that certainly beats any other option, really. Cyrus Jive going to have to take some chances against this Baltimore defense as they come out and press coverage once again.
Yeah, single back, 3 wide receiver set here. They'll go with 3-step drop, throw it out to the halfback, and he had a lot of room in front of him. Don't think that spin was the right call there from Ezekiel Love. Should have just ran to the outside there, Eric.
Yeah, he had a couple different options available to him. He could have waited just a tad bit longer for Nelson Lozano Jr. to go ahead and spring him just a little bit further, or he could have turned on the afterburners, busted it out near sideline there, and gotten a whole lot of extra yards, because you're right, there was a ton of green grass in front of him, Liam.
Two in the backfield, and that is going to be a run, and Ezekiel Love, that's not where you want to run him, right into the hands of number 56, Alvin Mack.
Yeah, and we talk about this front four for the Baltimore Vultures quite a bit, and they are very, very impressive. But right there at 1B, 1A and 1B, that 1B is going to be that linebacking core of Frank Smith, Alvin Mack, and Devin King. Very impressive linebackers for the Vultures.
2 set out wide, and it will be changed up at the line by Cyrus Jive. He goes to the out route, and that is an excellent catch, but it will be incomplete. They will call him out of bounds, and that is deeply unfortunate for this Portland Fleet side, that they need to keep their offense up and running. They had a decent... Oh, they're going to challenge this. Eric, I think this is a bad challenge. He looked like he was out of bounds.
Yeah, it did not look like he got the toe in before he walked out of bounds there. In the SFL, need to have 1 foot in bounds in order for a completed catch, but in real time, it looked like they didn't quite get the foot in. Benjamin Warner, the receiver there, well, maybe he did, Leo.
It's close. That is as close as you will get for our 62. And no, they will call him out of bounds. Tim Johnston showing his appreciation for the officials there, and that is deeply unfortunate. Portland needs to get every point that they can on every one of these offensive drives, and so far, just the 3 in the first quarter. That would be hugely disappointing as number 3, Dominic Birkin, comes out onto the field to punt this away.
Good call to challenge that play early on, I believe, Liam.
Yeah, I think it was worth doing. I think it would have given you a lot more momentum on this drive. But as it stands, Baltimore, they'll get great field position for them, stick them on their own 42-yard line. They've got half a field to work with their big weapons, Warren Murray, T-Roy Gaines, Ivory Irvin, you name it. They have got it.
Yeah, and they're going to have to put a stop on this run defense. We've said it ad nauseum through the first maybe quarter and a half at this point. But man, these running backs for the Baltimore Vultures have just been running all over the place so far.
That's a throw and that's a catch, and Baltimore are all the way up to the Portland 29-yard line. And that was number 83, Lloyd Graham Jr., saying, "Hey, Mr. Commentator, why didn't you mention my name? I can play too."
And it was just a little bit of a hesitation there by 56 Thomas. He was just going off towards the other direction away from Graham Jr., and that opened him up just enough for the pass to get completed. A good ball thrown by Wigmore, and that's what an impressive rushing attack will give you. It lulls the defense in, brings them in closer to the line, throw it over the top for a big gain.
I formation here for the Baltimore Vultures, and that is a run again, and that is all the way up to the 23-yard line. 2nd and 4 will be coming up here. Big performances so far on both sides of the ball for the Baltimore Vultures. Al Walker with a couple of sacks early, and this offense is rolling. Just the one new recruit, as we mentioned earlier, DJ Bandit, 2nd season in the league and 1st season after joining from the Atlanta Swarm. Baltimore going to hand it off again, and that's an excellent stop there, and they will need more of that. That was number 95 on the stop there for Portland. And I think they'll call that a tackle for loss, Eric, for a couple of yards. That was Jubu McSlim.
And that's what you need to see from the Portland Fleet defense is the penetration right up front there by the front four. They need to get into the lap of either Wigmore or those running backs in order to keep them from getting big gains.
Gun straight for the Baltimore Vultures, and they will throw to the out route as Jack Wigmore audibles it. So Baltimore have been stopped in their pursuit of a third consecutive touchdown. But it will take it to they will take it to a full 2-touchdown score game here for the Baltimore Vultures, and this is a fast game so far, Eric. We're already about 4 or 5 minutes into the second quarter. Portland's got to slow down this Baltimore Vultures side as the kick is away, and that is up, and that is good. 38 yards for the field goal. And,
yeah, it's been gas, no breaks so far, Liam.
Yeah, no breaks indeed. And that is going to take the score to 17-3. The SFL produces over 400 live events each year, but don't miss community content creators and their creations. Catch SFL Nights with AJ Stryker, Say It With Your Chest, Netma, and more covering Season 19 and beyond. To check out archive versions of community shows, visit simulationfl.net and click the logo of your favourite form of SFL entertainment on our homepage. And the Portland Fleet start where they did on their last drive, right on that 26. So decent return there from number 29. And that is going to be where Portland start. They need to start getting points on the board. Leo Morris with a couple of decent returns off of kickoffs. But Cyrus Jive has to make it work. The rookie out of Ottawa, big burden on his shoulders, will come out and he will change it up the line in weak I. 5-step drop, under pressure, throws. That's an excellent catch, and it's dropped by his receiver. Number 82 got hit hard. That was Gene Valentine, the 5-season veteran.
Yeah, and Valentine was in good position to catch this football, just maybe led him a bit too far to Cyrus Jive. So Valentine had to make a miraculous one-handed catch. And when you're running over the middle of the field, you know you're going to get popped. And sure enough, Valentine got a good pop from a couple of different members of that Vultures defense, spun the football free.
Just the single previous meeting between these two teams in Season 17, Week 2 of the regular season, and Baltimore came away as 36-30 victors. And given Baltimore's dominance of late, I think that's telling us just how good this current crop of Baltimore players is. And they will hustle to number 21, Ezekiel Love. He's just not been able to get it going today. 23 yards. And Warren Murray on the other side. He's actually probably had less of the ball than T-Roy Gaines, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. And, T-Roy's been getting a bunch of the carries early on in the ball game through Baltimore's offense. Zeke is looking to get maybe a little bit more himself, but averaging over 5 yards a clip so far.
Quads thrown and dropped, and that is another 4th down for the Portland Fleet. Distressing signs here early for this Portland hometown crowd, and they will be they'll be hoping that their team can rally themselves back into this, looking to the 4th round pick out of Ottawa, Cyrus Jive, to try and make something happen for them. Didn't happen on that drive, and it's going to go back to that dominant Baltimore offense. Let's go back to the SFL studios for a game break here.
Thank you, Liam. Sioux Falls striking early, Mike.
Yeah, after a quick 3 and out to open the game, then Julian Tyree, he finds Kay Marion on a long touchdown. He streaks down the left sideline, and Sioux Falls goes up early, 7-0 over Indianapolis.
Another look at it coming up. Sioux Falls off to a good start. Back to Liam and Eric in Portland.
Thanks, Cam. And Baltimore are driving once again. 2nd and 2 here, already in Portland's territory. Eric, it's the $1 million question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What can Portland do to get back into this game?
Well, the front four has got to get pressure It's easier said than done against that impressive O-line for Baltimore. They got to get pressure and get into the lap of Wigmore and those running backs if they want to stop them and slow them down.
Wow, this is a circuitous route for Jack Wigmore, but he gets the first down with number 21, Warren Murray. That would have been called a lateral, I think, with the way that Wigmore could have just walked over the line there. But in the end, he panicked a little bit. Very uncharacteristic out of the two-time All-Star. They won't give Warren Murray the rushing yardage there. They'll give him a reception. 2 in the backfield now, and they will hand it off this time to T-Roy Gaines. T-Roy certainly getting less of the ball now. I think he's on 6 attempts, thanks to our stats team for providing that information. Justin Reside and Gerald Smith in the stats booth for us today. And Baltimore will just continue to twist the knife in here. 4 wide receivers out wide. Looks like ace quads here. 5-step drop, throw. And that is nearly brought in for an interception. That would have been a pretty outrageous interception from the number 20 there. Bernard Smith, the safety, the free safety. But that was a boom or bust play there, Eric.
Yeah, Bernard Smith's been one of the bright spots for this Portland defense. 6 total tackles, that pass deflection right there. And honestly, he did a good job making sure that he batted the football away, because otherwise that was going to be a very negative play against him.
3-step drop, and that is going to be called... I'm not sure what they're going to call this, Eric. This might be, I suspect, some sort of holding call or potentially pass interference, but that was a reception. So let's see what the call is on the field. Yeah, they're going to call pass interference. It certainly didn't stop this Baltimore Vultures offense. They got the reception anyway, so Graham Jr. on the reception there, the tight end.
Add insult to injury there. And yeah, it looked like Brody Gulch had gotten there just a little bit or too early. Graham Jr. obviously making the catch anyway, but Portland's trying to just throw whatever they can at this defense right now, coming down with a 3-down lineman look, anticipating the pass. We'll see if they get it.
3 wide receivers out wide, 5-step drop for the Baltimore Vultures, and that is going to be Ivory Irvin. Just the 2 receptions from Ivory Irvin today. That one was a 4-yard reception, and they are getting it done through the air, on the ground. Jack Wigmore putting up monster QBR numbers right now, and they're going to come out in the shotgun set here. Quads with the halfback set out to the right. 132 on the stats that we're seeing there, and 91.7 completion. That one wasn't a completion there. That'll drop that number maybe below 90, but when you look at those numbers, very intimidating, Eric.
Yeah, and Jack Wigmore really hasn't had to do a whole lot here this afternoon. It's been very much the run game, as Mel Davis had an impressive pass deflection there to bring Wigmore's incompletion numbers up to 2 on the day. But yeah, they need to focus on this run game for sure, but this is a passing situation for sure.
And they will throw it, and that is a big throw, and that is a big interception from number 20 of the Portland Fleet. Excellent interception there from Bernard Smith and the Portland Fleet. You need to make more of those plays if you want to get back into this game. 14-point deficit, but with just under 4 minutes left of this quarter, big opportunity here.
And that's what a good free safety will do. The free safety will just play center field there. He'll keep an eye out on what the play is doing, how the play is developing. And Bernard Smith kept an eye on the football, watched the quarterback's eyes, was able to pick it off in the end zone. Again, he's been one of the bright spots for the defense here this afternoon.
Weak eye for the Portland Fleet. They're going to go out and they're going to pass it. They're not going to hand it off to Ezekiel Love. That was, well, number 48 giving a bit of afters there. That was Elijah Warfield. Surprised that the referees didn't call that, Eric, as a late hit.
Bit cheeky there. Bit cheeky. But I was surprised not to see any laundry on the field for that one as well. But big difference in the total yardage here between these two teams. Baltimore just being able to do anything they want, as we saw with that goofy lateral play that Wigmore had just a couple drives ago. Portland trying to get any sort of momentum going on offense.
And they will run it this time. Ezekiel Love, he spins and he gets out of that and he gets a first down. The pursuers unable to bring down Ezekiel Love, and he has had a fair day. He hasn't had enough of the ball, and you think he might have made a bit more of a difference tonight against this stout Baltimore defense, Eric.
Well, he's doing all he can. He really hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities to run the football here today, with that being only his 6th carry of the afternoon. Now, he's doing what he can do when he does touch the football, but I think Portland needs to get him more involved.
They won't get him involved here. That's a 5-step drop, and that is a good throw, and that is a good catch. So, number 11, Benjamin Warner picking up the first down there, and Cyrus Jive starting to get into his groove a bit.
Yeah, and that's
Excellent.
what Portland wanted. Yeah, absolutely. They need to get themselves some sort of momentum, and it looks like they're finally doing it here on offense, as Warner had plenty of room to work with on that play.
Very difficult defense to pass on in Baltimore. They do love to bump coverage and just put teams under immense amount of pressure. And that will be a run for Ezekiel Love, and he breaks out of the first tackle, but only gets the yard there. 2nd and 9 into Baltimore territory, though. Hasn't happened often so far today. I think this might be the first time indeed. But Portland are fighting. Touchdown here would make all the difference, bring it back to a single-score game. And they will come out in an I formation here on 2nd down. 2 wide receivers set out wide. They'll run it with Ezekiel Love, but he is going backwards, and he is back to the midfield. You're watching the Simulation Football League at the 2-minute warning, presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. And it is Baltimore 17, Portland Fleet 3 here in Portland, Oregon. Welcome back to Baltimore versus Portland, week 4 of the SFL. Coming up on the APM Music halftime report, Cameron Irvine and Mike St. Green will break down the first half between the Vultures and the Fleet, visit the SFL Media's power rankings through 3 weeks, and discuss what makes Baltimore so dominant in the league without controllers. It's all coming up on the APM Music halftime report. I'm Liam Crowder, joined by Eric Vinson, and it has indeed been another dominating performance from the Baltimore Vultures. Portland driving, though. They're up to the Baltimore 39-yard line. Just about a minute and 30 left to go in this first half. 3-step drop from Cyrus Jive. He's got Ezekiel Love, and Ezekiel Love's got a lot of room, and he's got a first down.
Yeah, this is the most momentum we've seen Portland have all game long. Even on their first drive where they got the 3 points that you see on the scoreboard there, they didn't have that same jive, not to throw a pun in there, but they didn't have the same jive. Now they've got a different jive, and now I'm throwing the pun in there. Okay, take over, Liam. I'm done.
It's all good. It's all good. 3 wide receivers out wide for the Portland Fleet, and just when you think that they're getting a step up, they get pulled right back again. And it's 2nd and 12 for the Portland Fleet. They're going to go into hurry up, and they will go back to Ezekiel Love, and he is stopped in the backfield, and Portland having to burn their second time out. They lost the first on a challenge on an incomplete pass. Joe Duncan with the big tackle for loss. And the 6-season veteran, 2 seasons in Baltimore, putting his 6'4" frame to good use there and stopping Ezekiel Love.
He just mauled Randy Fatt III on that play. Just an absolute clinic for a defensive end, and got into the backfield for that TFL. Good use of the timeout for Portland, though, to get out of that formation and stop running the no huddle there. They'll have a 3rd and long here, though, with 47 to go in the first half.
4 out wide, and that is a throw, and that is a catch, and that is a first down. Big play for Portland. 40 seconds left on the clock. They got all the time in the world to try and drive into the end zone here. Shotgun set again. They will go with that 4 wide receiver set. They go with all slants. They will go for a first down again. 30 seconds left on the clock in this first half. The Portland Fleet knocking on the door of Baltimore's end zone. They'll go with that play again. They'll throw it. They'll throw it to Ezekiel Love. Ezekiel Love can get into the end zone. Kept his feet in bounds, and excellent footwork there from that halfback, number 21. Put 6 on the board, pending the extra point for a 7-point deficit, 7-point lead for the Baltimore Vultures. But that makes it much more competitive, Eric.
Yeah, and now you see why that was important to burn that time out there and get themselves into a different formation. That was a much better formation to run the no huddle out of. Great passing plays and a very sneaky play to get Love coming out of the backfield, getting into the end zone.
Great coaching from Mel Davis Jr. and Ezekiel Love also taking on defensive coordinator responsibilities for the Portland Fleet. But Jacob Bouvette will be very happy with seeing his team claw themselves back into contention in this game here. 16 seconds left on the clock. Baltimore can do a lot of things. I think scoring in 16 seconds, that may be a tricky one for Jack Wigmore and co. I will certainly give it a try. Portland kick it away, and that will be returned by Ivory Irvin, and he gets it all the way up to the 30. He had a couple of men in front of him. If he managed to break out of that was he could have had me eating my words there. But for what it's worth, 11 seconds left on the clock.
I was eating my fingernails as you were saying that, seeing that Ivory Irvin was breaking it off to the parts.
You were very nervous for me there, Eric. I appreciate it. Five-step drop from Wigmore. He throws it, and that is overthrown. 7 seconds left on the clock. And, with Warren Murray and T. Roy Gaines in your backfield, you might just run it, and you may be surprised at the outcome, Eric. They can turn nothing into touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that Baltimore, they know that they're not going to receive the second half kickoff, that honor will go to Portland. But they've done a good job on the ground here so far. Either go ahead and give the football off, run the rest of the clock out, or just see what happens.
And that is a run up the middle, and that will do it for the half. It is 17-10 for the Baltimore Vultures away here at the Portland Fleet. We'll be back with the 8 PM Music SFL halftime report with Cameron Irvine and Mike St. Green after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to SFL Studios for the APM Music Halftime Report. Along with Mike St. Green, I'm Cameron Irvine. A pretty good first half there, Mike. 17-10. Portland able to do some things there before the break. Your thoughts on the first half?
Yeah, great ending to the first half from the Fleet. Bernard Smith with interception in the end zone to keep Baltimore off the board on a big drive right there. And then they came back on a nice long drive to get points on the board, get within one score. They get the ball coming out in the second half. I mean, they can't ask for anything better right now, Cam.
That last drive, a few slants there for Portland, but it was the diversification, I think, of the of Cyrus Jive, able to make things happen for Portland on that drive. Hit 3 different receivers there in the last 35 seconds and hit Love for the touchdown. Made all the right reads.
Yeah, he sure did, and it was a great job of changing things up there late in the half. I mean, that Baltimore defense, that defensive line has been excellent in this first half. Man, we've seen Al Walker, who we mentioned in the pregame. He's been excellent again today. Joe Duncan with a big tackle for loss right there towards the end of the half. But Jive held his cool, did a great job, found different receivers, changed it up, and then finally found Ezekiel Love in the corner of the end zone for the touchdown.
One of the things we noticed early on in this game, Mike, was that Baltimore was running a ton of heavy packages. We're used to Baltimore slinging the ball around, but they have quietly kind of changed their tone in the early part of this season. They clearly saw something on film up the middle of this Portland defensive front, and T-Roy ran all over him up the gut in the for most of that first half.
Yeah, it's not the big play, explosive Baltimore that we're accustomed to seeing. Maybe they, as you mentioned, maybe they saw a little something in that defensive line. They are young in the trenches right there in the D tackle area. They lost 2 huge free agents this offseason, and Bernard Patterson and Gary Burney, 2 rookies, are replacing those guys. So maybe Baltimore wanted to take advantage of that, pound the ball a lot with them with the big fullback T-Roy Gaines, and try to see if they can control the clock, not turn it over, and, try to pound these guys into submission.
How about Bernard Smith? This guy basically saved the game. I mean, this thing was trending on a blowout. Nice interception in the end zone. Ivory Irvin was wide open. Smith also made a play to save another touchdown in that half, stuck a paw out there and knocked the football down. I mean, this guy's been the player of the game for Portland so far.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This guy came over from Arizona a couple of seasons ago. I mean, he was a great player in the minor leagues, and he's been even better as a pro these last few seasons. I think this is his second season over there with the Fleet, and he's definitely made a difference in this first half of this game and keeping the Fleet within arm's reach.
17-10 is your score at the half in Portland. Let's get to some highlights from yesterday. DC and Carolina. This game was expected to be pretty great. A pair of 2-1 teams in the Atlantic Division, Mike, getting things going, trying to catch pace or catch up, rather, keep pace with Baltimore in the Atlantic Division standings. And really, Mike, only one team showed up. Let's not spoil it for the folks, but this game got pretty ugly early.
Yeah, this was an interesting matchup. I was looking forward to seeing this matchup yesterday. Was expecting a tight matchup, and kind of low scoring just from the way that the Skyhawks typically play, and actually DC as well. So, interesting matchup. As you mentioned, the winner would have gone to 3-1, and started off with an interception right here from Carolina.
It looked like Carolina was going to show up early. That was Lincoln Kingseed coming out of retirement for Carolina, getting the interception early. That was actually Shabazz Synergy's only 3rd interception of the season. He's on pace to only throw 9, Mike, which would be an SFL record for the least amount of interceptions thrown in a regular season. Matt Wilson and Johnny Pickler are tied with 11 for that record, something that we don't talk about much here on this program. But Synergy would get things going, shake off that interception. He would not have another all day. And Gus Scott with his 3rd grab there. Then Kevin Say gets it moving. And just like that, DC nearly on the board.
Yeah, Gus Scott, he had a huge game last night, Cam, and then we see Kevin Say doing Kevin Say type things with a nice spin move and a run, and then we see him sneaking into the end zone right there for an early 7-0 lead from DC.
DC takes the lead in their all whites, looking fresh. Carolina in their City of Oaks home uniforms yesterday. DC takes 7-0 lead. Carolina on a 3rd down and long late in the 3rd quarter. This is when you started to feel like maybe they were in some trouble. That pass picked off. Matt South trying to force something early in the game, and Joshua Vasquez gets the pick 6, and DC doubles their score.
Yeah, the Skyhawks really struggled on offense yesterday. I was really a little bit surprised at how they played yesterday. Matt South here forcing one down the middle, and Josh Vasquez with a big interception takes it home for the pick 6.
Avalos got blocked, but then blocked somebody into oblivion there, trying to get that make that tackle, but Vasquez too fast, and DC was up 14-0 just like that. More problems for Carolina in the 1st quarter. Again, 3rd and long. This was the theme of the day, Mike. Matt South trying to force something down the field, and that's picked off by Peanut Say. And I think you're starting to see the trend of how this game may have gone, folks at home. 3.5-point favorites for Carolina. It was not to be today. Synergy out to Kevin Say. Look at all the green grass. Mike Say gets first down in the red zone.
Yeah, we saw a lot of this yesterday from that great DC defense. They had pressure. You know, the secondary did a great job of keeping Matt South off balance all game. And then when we didn't see that, we saw Kevin Say, and then we saw Shabazz Synergy with plays like this.
Craig Westlake, a pair of touchdowns, and DC took a 21-0 lead, and then they ended up winning that ball game by a final score of 35-14. Carolina played okay in the second half, but they were it just wasn't enough. They weren't able to recover. Also yesterday, Mike, the London Knights all over the Motor City V8s. London takes the victory 38-14. Terrence Weary with a touchdown, Merrill with 3. And this game was a snoozer from start to finish, Mike. London really had control.
Yeah, London, they did a great job yesterday, Cam, and they've really done a fantastic job all season long. They've been, a lot of people are criticizing them a little bit about, your schedule is not that tough, but these guys are just doing what they're supposed to do. If your schedule's not that tough, you're supposed to dominate teams the way that they have. These guys have brought a ton of players back from the past couple of seasons. Robert Merrill has been great. He only had, I say only, but had 88 yards rushing yesterday, which is a significant amount less than what he's been doing the first 3 games, but he's still on pace for over 2,100 yards rushing. But as you did mention, the 3 touchdowns, he already had 9 rushing touchdowns coming into the game. Johnny Pickler had a great game as well. So these guys are rolling on both sides of the ball. Defense playing well. Offense is pretty much unstoppable, and they're doing a great job, and that's why they are right now currently the only other undefeated team in the league.
The Premier Stats Group is doing something new this season, Mike. They're polling the SFL media to talk about power rankings and kind of get everybody's point of view on it all. We're going to check in on those polls after week 3. We'll start at the bottom. Seattle, Canton, Portland, all winless coming into the week, as was Jacksonville. San Diego got their first win. They move up to 24. Queen City, Indy, who's in action. We'll get to what's going on in that game here in just a moment. Tulsa, Louisiana, Denver, Lone Star, Charleston, Motor City, L.A. wraps up your back half of the SFL Power Rankings. Mike, pick one team out that interests you in this bottom 14.
Well, and this poll came out before yesterday, and the one team that kind of stands out to me in this poll is Motor City. I mean, they were 2-1 going into the game last night. The offense has been great. Ibrahim Creata has been great at quarterback, leading the league in passing. Field Cost has been great at tight end, as well as Guy Clausen. So I thought that was a little low for them coming in this week.
I don't think people know what to do with Motor City, quite frankly, Mike. I think there needs to be more time, a wait-and-see approach to see what's going on with the V8s. But I thought it was interesting that Louisiana was down there at 20. I don't know if they're that bad. Lone Star at 18, 1-2. I don't think they're that bad either. Just some slow starts for those two teams that were in the semifinals last season. In the top 14, things are a little bit different, maybe a little bit more normalized. London got 2 first-place votes. They may even get more next week after their dominating win over Motor City. Baltimore is firmly in control at 1. Here's a surprising thing, Mike. Arizona over Mexico City. Mexico City just beat the Scorpions, but Arizona still stands at 4. Florida, Houston round out the top 7. Sioux Falls, Fort Worth, Vegas round out the top 10. What catches your eye, Mike?
Well, actually, that 4 through 7 that you just mentioned, Mexico City beat Arizona, Houston beat Mexico City, Florida, they struggled against Fort Worth, and they struggled most of the week, last week up until the fourth quarter against Vegas. So maybe that 4 through 7 can look a little different. I think it's no doubt about the top 3 that we see right there, and possibly Carolina coming in at 14. I would maybe, even though they were 2-1 coming in, I would maybe have had them possibly a little lower, and even Minnesota, 12 seems a little high for Minnesota right there for me.
And that's a good point, Mike, because Fort Worth beat Florida. So that's another instance in the top 10 where maybe the media is looking at those games as potential one-offs for Fort Worth and for Mexico City as well. They're not sure. Halftime, Baltimore's up 17-10 over Portland. Baltimore's won 3 of the last 4 championships, Mike, in the SFL. And for those that don't really understand what they're watching or understand how can someone be a dynasty in a league that doesn't have any controllers, there's so many factors into making a great team, Mike. This is kind of a lightning round for us, but for those at home that may be unfamiliar with how the SFL works, what makes a great SFL team and what makes Baltimore so good? What's your first one?
Well, I'll tell you the first thing that stands out, as you mentioned, 3 of the last 4 championships, and as you mentioned, is team building. 15 of the 23 roster spots on this team. This is the only team that these individual players have played for. So these guys are consistent. These guys are selfless. As you know, we have the people that are not familiar, as you mentioned, the way these players get better is by what we call progression. That's how they get their players better from week in and week out, and they pick up different attributes and things to add to their player. And these guys, and we also have a salary cap. So these guys are selfless. They take, some attributes and things off of their player every season in order to get under that cap and stay with this team and be selfless. And, the consistency of that is what makes one of the things that makes this team great.
And then you've got the coaching aspect of it all, Mike. And Baltimore, I mean, we saw it in the first half with T. Roy Gaines running up the gut early. We didn't see a lot of that last week. That's coaching, right? Baltimore's moving some things around. They're manipulating the playbook to get plays called what they want to see called. We saw some slants for Portland go awry. We saw some slants for Baltimore working, at least early. Portland's defense did tighten up in that second half. So you put the coaching together with the chemistry of the players, with the progression, with playing the salary cap game, and you get a dynasty. And Mike, probably the most likable dynasty of all of them in league history. I mean, people look at Baltimore and can't really find a whole lot of faults with them.
You definitely can't, Cam. As you mentioned, coaching has been excellent. These guys, they take chances. I mean, you could just see it today. They came in and said, hey, we're going to pound the ball at these guys on offense. They saw something in that Portland defense that they wanted to try to take advantage of. And the other thing defensively, since these guys are so great on the defensive line, and in the secondary, they're taking chances defensively by blitzing linebackers. They're blitzing safeties. Pretty much every time the job has dropped back today, he's been pressured. They've been sending an extra player at him, and that's just them looking at something in their sims during the week and saying, hey, we could probably take advantage of some things, but we're also good enough and we're consistent enough on the defensive line and in the secondary that we can take chances like that.
Before we get back to Portland for the second half, Sioux Falls has a 13-7 lead on Indianapolis. That game just started the third quarter. Indy is kind of like Portland. They've really been outplayed most of this game, but they are hanging around. What have you seen out of that one in the first half?
Solid defensive game from Sioux Falls as we expected to see. They've been, consistent on offense. They've kind of, struggled here the past couple of drives. Indianapolis have done a great job of getting them, slowed down here in the second quarter, going into going into the third. We saw a Brad Jones touchdown to get these guys within a score, but struggling a little bit defensively, but they're kind of bending on breaking, meaning Indianapolis doing a great job, but they did a great job of getting back into this game and get within one score.
We'll keep up with that game in the second half as we get back to the second half in Portland after this commercial break. Liam and Eric are back on the call. This has been the APM Music Halftime Report. Mike and I will see you back here at Studios for postgame. You're watching the Simulation Football League on Next Level Sports.
Welcome back to Portland, Oregon for this Week 4 SFL matchup presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. The Baltimore Vultures leading at the half. They will be kicking it away to Portland. It's 17-10. I'm Liam Crowder, joined by Eric Vinson. And this will be Ivory Irvin on the return. And check that. Apologies. That will be Portland Fleet Leo Morris on the return rather than Ivory Irvin. Eric, they would have wished that Ivory Irvin would have changed jerseys, but unfortunately for the Portland Fleet, they will not have Ivory Irvin services as they come out and they have a single back set here on first down.
You just wanted to get the football to Baltimore right away.
That was it, yeah. They nearly got it back right away. Number 56 there, Alvin Mack. With the deflection, and the Portland Fleet nearly give it away straight away after a great momentum swing at the end of that first half, Eric.
And, you know, I'm not sad about the play call per se. Just a nice quick pass to kind of get things going and get the mojo flowing for the offense. You just don't want to throw it into coverage where the linebacker is.
Single back set here for the Portland Fleet. Two wide receivers out wide, and they are set up in a 4D lineman set here. The Baltimore Vultures. They're sending everybody at it, and they nearly got him. They nearly got Cyrus Jive, but he got it out, and he's got a first down. That was an excellent play there. Benjamin Warner on the reception there, his third reception of the day, and that was an excellent play there, Eric.
Yeah, and as Cam and Mike touched on in the halftime show, Baltimore is sending the house against Cyrus Jive to disrupt his flow and disrupt his ability to get the football out. But he did a nice job there finding a wide open Benjamin Warner along the far sideline.
maybe a little bit of a question mark there, though, for Baltimore. When you got such a great backfield, defensive backfield, all of those famed cornerbacks and safeties, why necessarily worry so much about chucking the kitchen sink at Portland? And Portland have come out as they mean to go on. How they finish that first half. Number 21, Ezekiel Love, with an 8-yard gain. Excellent start to the second half for the Portland Fleet here.
Yeah, definitely. And the answer to your question, Liam, is simply this. If you go ahead and you disrupt the quarterback's flow, if you disrupt Cyrus Jive in the backfield there from throwing the football, he's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes if he is under duress, and therefore the secondary for Baltimore can take advantage of that.
And that is another huge first down for the Portland Fleet, all the way up to Baltimore's 39-yard line. And the Portland Fleet are rolling here. The crowd is getting behind Ezekiel Love. And another excellent run there, right through the offensive line. A huge gap there developed. And the defensive linemen for the Baltimore Vultures are certainly nothing to be sniffed at. Three all-star appearances across the defensive line. And Portland are going to go back to the rushing game again. Ezekiel Love gets bottled up that time. That will be a tackle for loss there. Number 56 on the tackle. That's Alvin Mack, who had the deflection earlier as well. They're getting that rushing game going now, Eric.
Yeah, and this is what they need to do for Zeke Love, is to get him the football and get him out into space on those off-tackle plays. Didn't quite work out for him on that particular one, but he got what he could, ended up losing maybe a half a yard, lived to fight another down.
That is another run, and that is a lot of space for Ezekiel Love. And once again, he goes to the inside route, where maybe going down the outside would have been a bit better. 55 yards on the day, averaging 4.2. Warren Murray there is the dominant of the two running backs today, but Ezekiel Love is really growing into this game. 3rd and 3 now for the Portland Fleet. Big chance here. They're going to go with 2 backs, and they're going to go with 2 wide receivers and the tight end. And that's handed off, and that is Ezekiel Love again, and that is a first down.
Yeah, and Portland is very, very content with starting to get this running game going here, Liam. And that's exactly what they need to do. They've got a very impressive secondary, does Baltimore. You don't want to throw against them with a rookie quarterback. And Cyrus Jive has been doing a nice job so far, 10 of 16 with over 100 yards and a touchdown through the air. However, Zeke Love is one of those type of backs where you want to give him the football, you want to give it to him a lot, and you want to get him his touches.
27 yards away from parity for this Portland Fleet side, that when they came out of the first quarter, you had to be scratching your head thinking, how are they going to get back into this game? They've got back into it through hard grit and hard work. Some excellent play in the second quarter has set themselves up here for what looks to be a really intriguing second half. They come out in a weak eye formation here, and you suspect they're not going to hand it off to Ezekiel Love. They'll throw it instead. That's an excellent catch. That's number 82 on the reception. Gene Valentine well into the red zone of Baltimore.
And Jive has had to thread some needles here this afternoon. He is throwing, as we mentioned, against a very talented secondary for Baltimore, and that is just a dime right there in between the linebacker and the corner, only where Valentine can catch the football. Great throw and a great catch.
And Portland in striking distance here. Gun straight. And this is a money play for many teams in the SFL. They'll go with 90 all slants. There's a lot of pressure, and that is a sack. And Baltimore have shut down Gun straight as best as they can. Cyron Yates, the 4th, with the sack there. And he joins Al Walker with sacks on the day for the Baltimore Vultures.
So Ron Yates getting his first full sack of the season. Good for him, and good for that Baltimore defense there, sending the extra man and getting pressure on Jive.
Baltimore's fans imploring them to wake up on defense here, and they have certainly responded to those cries. And that is a run by... didn't catch who ran that. It looked like it could have been the backup running back there. That looked like Lonnie Wright. So they rested Ezekiel Love for a play, and now they come out and gun straight again. They're gonna fire for the end zone here. Irish Jive, big chance to make a name for himself. A rookie out of Ottawa. He throws it, he catches it, and that is all the way up to Baltimore's 2-yard line, and it will be 4th and 1. Eric, big question here. Do Portland go for it and try to tie this game up early in the third?
I say you got to take the points, especially against a very talented team like Baltimore. I know it's very tempted to be this close to the end zone and see yourself down by only a touchdown, but you got to take the points. Either way, it looks like Portland disagrees with me. They're sending out the offense here.
Yeah, but this may be just to try and get Baltimore to jump. They can get a first down, incredibly. They're on the Baltimore 2, but it's a 4th and 1. And they're going to run that clock down, and this becomes... They're going to probably take the time out. And that is more crucial than anything, because now having taken the time out, you have less collateral to work with late in the game when you are 2 or 3 minutes out from the end of the game and Baltimore have got that rushing attack going, Eric. Time is going to be of the essence there, and they have basically just given about 30, 40 seconds away to Baltimore for free there.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, Liam. There's so many different variables that go into that. That was not the time to try that tactic and see if you can get Baltimore to jump off sides. Again, if you're going to have some confidence in your convictions, either go ahead and take the 3 points or go for it on 4th down. That was not the right call there, in my opinion.
The kick is up 19 yards, and that is automatic. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. We're going to have a break, but don't you go anywhere. More action coming up after this. Welcome back to Portland, Oregon for this Simulation Football League matchup presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. And the Baltimore Vultures are in a close one here. I'm Liam Crowther, joined by Eric Vinson. And Eric, Portland are really fighting their way back into this tie.
Yeah, they sure are. And they've done an impressive job given what they have to work with, really. 3 scoring drives, all of 11 plays or more, 2 11-play scoring drives, and then that 13-play scoring drive on that first possession of the second half. Doing a great job on offense is Portland.
And their defense is stepping up to the mark as well now. Warren Murray, his average was 8 or 9 a few drives ago, but now it's all the way down to still a somewhat reasonable 7 yards per play, but Warren Murray is getting bottled up just at the moment by Portland. Baltimore, though, they are the champions for a reason. Let's see what they come out here with now. 5-step drop, a throw, and that's a catch, and that's a big bomb. And number 10 is going all the way to the house. Ivory Irvin, nobody's going to catch him. That is a touchdown, Ivory Irvin for the Baltimore Vultures. And just like that, Baltimore are back to a 2-possession lead, Eric.
And that's the difficulty with this Baltimore Vultures offense. And I saw the bunched receivers in that formation. It looked like Portland wasn't quite lined up correctly. I thought that might be a problem for them. And sure enough, Ivory Irvin with a little slant and go right into the end zone. And Bernard Smith was the only one who could have done anything to stop him. Unfortunately for him, a Superman tackle wasn't going to do the trick. Great play there by Baltimore to re-seize the momentum.
And you can just sense the air has gone out of this stadium, Eric, after what was a great drive for Portland. To have it taken back, to be pegged back like that almost immediately. Extra point is up and good. And Baltimore are showing just why they are such a dominant team. Heard in the halftime show from Cam and Mike just how they put together what they've done in this team. And Baltimore are right back in front with a 2-possession lead here. They're going to kick it away, and Tarkenton will do the honours, and it will be returned by Leo Morris all the way up to the 26. They've been getting it up to the 26 pretty much all day long. We've got an update here. Let's send it back to the studio with Cam. What do you have for us, Cam?
Thank you, Liam. You know, Mike, Indy's been playing pretty well today, but this is not helping.
Yeah, Indy been playing well, getting back into this game and trying to get closer here. And Larry Barr, he hits the upright, and Sioux Falls is going to keep the lead in the third quarter, 20-7.
And now entering into the fourth. Sparrows up by 13 after Liam and Eric.
Second and 3 here for the Portland Fleet. Wow, get like that doink, Eric. That was really something. Back here in Portland, these kickers have pretty much been on the money all day.
The doink heard round the world.
Indeed. 5-step drop from the Portland Fleet. He's got tons of room there, the receiver. Number 82, it looked like Gene Valentine. Called Gene Valentine's name a few times so far today, and that was an excellent reception for the first down. Portland looking to drag themselves back into this game. All they need is the single score deficit to haul themselves back in for a win, Eric.
Yeah, most definitely, and they could do it here.
And that'll be a run, and Ezekiel Love get turned around a bit. He goes for the spin. Keep it close against Baltimore. That's one of the main things, one of the main objectives. They're so aggressive and so dominant that just anything you can do is key. And let's see what they come out with here on 2nd and 4. 2 wide receivers and the 2 tight ends in this ace set. Single back. And that'll be handed off to Ezekiel Love again. He's got a lot of pressure on him, though, and that's brought down at the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 4 here.
Yeah, Sir Ron Yates getting in there and getting off his block in a hurry to make that tackle. But to go back to your previous point, Liam, Portland has kept Baltimore fairly close despite, what the scoreboard is saying right now. Cyrus Jive has taken great care of the football for a rookie. 14 of 20, over 150 yards through the air and a touchdown. No interceptions yet.
See a bit of play action here, and that's a big pass, and that is a big interception. And the Baltimore Vultures are prowling to the ball, and that is number 36 on the interception. Troy Lowshaw, the other half of that dominant safety core for the Baltimore Vultures. And when you have got a reach like that, that man jumped about 10 times as high as I can, Eric. Yes,
most definitely. And I'm going to crawl into a hole now as the commentator's curse is very, very real with that interception there. But it was a very impressive interception by Loshaw. I don't blame Jai for throwing that football. It looked like he had Valentine open. Just a very impressive pick by Loshaw to sky up to the moon to pick that thing off.
Yeah, it was a nice play action, but Loshaw has seen it all before. And we have seen Warren Murray rush up the middle a number of times today, and he picks up another 6-yard gain there. Baltimore up 24-13. We are joined by our stats people in the booth, Justin Reside and Gerald Smith. Thanks to those guys for their contributions to our league. Now, let's see what Baltimore can do here. They're going to go for a run, and that is going to be a first down, and that was a dangerous-looking Warren Murray run there. He had a lot of space there, Eric.
Yeah, and Mel Davis, thankfully for Portland, was able to track him on down and get just enough of him to go ahead and knock him to the turf, because otherwise Warren Murray was running for days. He'd be in the tunnel by now if Mel Davis wasn't there.
Yeah, great stop there from Mel Davis, and I think they've been understated performances from these Portland Fleet defenders, but they have had a decent day. It's just the offense. It's been a bit of a flip, actually. Offense just hasn't been able to do the job today, where they have done it all season, and the defense has stepped up. They step up again there. Only a 3-yard gain on that run. And Baltimore, once again, into Portland's territory on their 48-yard line. Excuse me. Power set here for the Baltimore Vultures, and they're going to run it up the middle again. And Warren Murray gets up to the 41-yard line, and it is 3rd and 1. And the Baltimore Vultures, once again, looking to reassert their dominance here in this game. A single game away from home, and then they'll be back in Baltimore, revisiting the site of that amazing comeback last week against the Vancouver Legion, and back at 4-0, tied with the London Knights. And Warren Murray gets the first down there as the Sioux Falls Sparrows versus the Indianapolis Ramblers goes into the fourth quarter. 23-7 there for the Sparrows. 24-13 here for the Baltimore Vultures against the Portland Fleet. Baltimore coming out in a 3-wide receiver set, 2 in the backfield. That is a throw, and that is a catch, and that is dropped. That is dropped by the receiver there. Excellent play by that Portland Fleet coverage, Eric.
Yeah, Dale McClain getting in there and making the pass break up. I think maybe the hit jarred the football loose. Otherwise, that would have been another big play there for Baltimore. The Vultures definitely rolling on this drive. Portland looking like they're grasping with every tooth and nail to keep themselves in on this possession and keep Baltimore from adding any more points to the scoreboard.
Single back set now for the Baltimore Vultures. They're going to go for a 5-step drop, and that was dangerous. Number 10 does get the reception, Ivory Irvin, but I saw that defender sneaky in there, and I thought, oof, if he catches that, he's going to the house, Eric.
Yeah, defender was definitely in the area there, read the play, just couldn't quite locate the football. That was Mel Davis, the linebacker, and Ivory Irvin with another catch. He's had a great afternoon so far as we head into the fourth, Liam.
It's an exciting matchup here as we go for a break. You're watching the SFL on Next Level Sports, presented by APM Music. Don't go anywhere. The conclusion to this game is coming right up. Welcome back to the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. And we are coming into a Baltimore Vultures drive right into Portland territory. APM Music is unrivaled music to bring your stories to life, inspiring every production with the world's most robust and constantly refreshed music collection, state-of-the-art technology, and world-class customer service. APM Music is the official soundtrack of the Simulation Football League. To explore their library and to find the perfect tracks for your projects, visit apmmusic.com, and I'm sure the world-class providers at APM Music would approve of this world-class rush from Warren Murray, as he has done so all day today, Eric.
Yeah, Murray has been very, very impressive on the ground, getting closer and closer to that century mark on the ground. Total yardage has been dominated by Baltimore, and Portland has taken advantage of just enough to keep themselves in the ball game. They got to keep Baltimore out of the end zone here on this drive, though.
And they will certainly make a good effort at it. It's 3rd and 1, and T-Roy gains 43 yards on 10 carries. Slowed down substantially today. That was number 56, Khalil Thomas, on the stop there. And Portland just hold Baltimore to 3 points, and you have a chance to drive back down as he did in the third quarter and try and bring this back within a single score. They won't do it there, though, and that is going to be walked into the end zone by Warren Murray. That is a touchdown for the 10-season veteran, and Baltimore assert their dominance once more, Eric.
Yeah, and that's about as easy as it gets right there. Warren Murray just finds the hole. Great blocking up front. Good pancake block towards the end there, knocking Bernard Smith to the turf. And that was an easy run there for Warren Murray. Easy 6 points for Baltimore. And it's looking bleak now for Portland.
And Tarkington will come onto the field to take the extra point. Perfect on the day thus far. And Warren Murray's stats there, 115 yards on the day on 18 attempts. And making me chew my words after after what I said earlier about his average going down and Portland managing to hold him off a bit. Coverage of the SFL on Next Level Sports continues Sunday, July 31st. Viewers will see Fort Worth try their hand at the in-state rival Houston Headhunters at 8:45 Eastern Time, with live look-ins on Louisiana and Arizona. Next week's games just announced: Lone Star versus Mexico City on Saturday and Seattle versus Baltimore on Sunday. For a channel guide and more info about NXT, visit nlse.com. And it's I must bring it up, Eric. It's been said about the other unbeaten team, London, that maybe they've shown themselves to be a bit of a flat track bully, but Baltimore in 2 weeks going up against Portland and Seattle, both without wins, and Portland with a couple of yards. They're just given the single yard there, Ezekiel Love. What do you think? They talked a little bit, I think, about the power rankings at halftime, Eric. What do you see coming out of the next few games going out when we start having these bye weeks? Seattle on a bye going in to play Baltimore next week.
Well, and it's very difficult to say, especially with the schedule being what it is, and this is how we tend to see these things stack up. Ooh, big play there for Lozano.
Yeah, big catch there from number 84, trying to drag Portland back into this game. And the Portland Fleet, certainly on the basis of this performance, they certainly don't look like an 0-3 team, and they don't look like an 0-4 team as well. Baltimore have been put under some real pressure. They're definitely, nobody was expecting them to come out and play like the Vancouver Legion did last week. Certainly, we got some big ties between the Portland Fleet and the Vancouver Legion. As that is another first down. Excellent play there, throwing a catch. Number 11 on the reception there, Benjamin Warner. But Portland, win or lose in this game, they've still got very much a chance of winning this game. They have to make their points up quickly, but they certainly not discredited themselves here with this performance. Ricky QB as well, Cyrus Drive, he has played very, very well. for the most part. Single back set here, 3-step drop. A throw it to Ezekiel Love again. Ezekiel Love's got a lot of space, and I think he's going for a touchdown here. No, he won't. He is closed down by the defensive backs there. It's Irish jive all the way up to 236 off of the back of that excellent reception from Love. And defensive backs quick to get there, Eric.
Yeah, great pursuit by the defensive secondary for Baltimore, but this is the type of play calling that you wanted to see out of Portland because Zeke Love is a very effective receiver coming out of the backfield as well. We have not seen a ton of screenplays go his direction, and we see how effective they could possibly be. Might find a chink in the armor there of Baltimore.
And Love is running to the outside and trying to gain some space. And he does get just about enough to get up to the Baltimore 17-yard line. And they are within striking distance now, but we've seen Portland squander these chances before. The 6/7 point gain from this touchdown will bring them back to 11 or 12 points down. So they're not out of this yet. And they come out with 3 wide receivers here. They're going to run it with Ezekiel Love again. And that is probably the dangerous thing about this. We're already about 5-6 minutes into this quarter, Eric, and they can't keep running it with Love. They got to get him involved in other ways.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where the screenplays will get involved and things of that nature, because you see Baltimore is still blitzing their safeties right off the bat. That's why that off-tackle play did not work for Zeke Elliott. They had 2 safeties blitzing on that play.
Big pressure, and it's there again, and the linebacker gets the sack that time. That's number 42. Frank Smith, the inside linebacker. You could see that sack coming from a mile away, Eric.
Oh, yeah, he was a free runner. Nobody touches him right there up the middle, and that's what you want to see as a linebacker. Your eyes go nice and wide. You see exactly what there is to see in front of you. Not a single soul except for the quarterback. Go ahead and lower the shoulders, make the hit.
I think I would be going for it on 4th down. I know that you're not completely out of it yet, but you got to get points quick, and I don't think the field goal is going to do it for you here. They'll take the snap. There was a guy through the line of scrimmage there, pursuing, and that is good for the Portland Fleet. So that'll bring it back to 31-16. And we're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. 31 Baltimore, Portland 16. Welcome back to the Simulation Football League, presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. And the Baltimore Vultures have stretched their lead out once more. Portland are now 15 points down. 2-possession lead here for the Baltimore Vultures, and they will come back out onto the field with their offense. It's a tough ask now, isn't it, Eric, for the Portland Fleet to come back in?
It's going to be tough sledding for Portland for sure. They got to get a stop here. They got to keep Baltimore off the scoreboard if they want to have any chance to come back.
Great stop there. That is going to do it for you. Number 56, Khalil Thomas. Need a few more of those. Try and get the Baltimore off the field quickly. They're certainly going to milk this clock for all it's worth. 5 minutes 30 left on the clock here. And Baltimore on their own 22-yard line. Maybe see a little bit more conservative play. Certainly not coming out in a formation that seems to be conservative. They got spread and they're going to throw it. And they're going to go to number 87. Apologies. Daly Holder. Haven't really called the 11-season veteran's name all that much today. But the one-time All-Star getting 50x spot there on the reception. 50x spot with the 3-step drop. So a little bit of deception there from Baltimore. And the Portland Fleet defense have to make a stop here. They have to make a stop here. Come out in 3-4. And Baltimore will run it. And that is a stop. Number 92 getting to T-Roy Gaines. T-Roy is not a happy bunny today. Warren Murray has outshone him. And the excellent tackle for loss there from Portland will get them right back onto the field on offense. 4 minutes 40 left to go in this game. The other game over on Twitch in the fourth quarter, 30-7 now for Sioux Falls. And Portland are right back in it. If they can turn this this return into some points, maybe get a punt return touchdown, and see if we can mega jinx it in favour of the Portland Fleet. See what happens. Return now here, and well, wait a minute. All the way up to the 44-yard line of the Portland Fleet. It looked like something might have been on there, Eric.
I had to raise your jaw back up to its normal level there, Liam, as Majors made the turn. But he did a nice job with that return there. Great starting field position for the Fleet. They're going to need to get points on the scoreboard and in a hurry here, being down by 15.
Yes, they're going to come out in I formation here. And they're going to throw it, and that's a reception in the first down. They're going to go into the hurry-up. They're going to go back into I formation. They're going to take a 3-step drop. They're going to throw it out to the back. That was number 49, Jacob Farmer, the fullback on the reception there. And Portland are driving. 3-step drop now from number 7, Cyrus Jive. The rookie is trying to make something big happen against the Dynasty. And they are still driving. Number 84. We're down to 3 minutes 29 on the clock. And Portland's still going. 2nd and 5 now. TE flex. And they're going to keep throwing it. This out route. That's a fumble. And that is... Oh, it's recovered by Elijah Warfield. Oh, this one may go to the booth, Eric, because hit it. Well, for all in the world. Wow, that is close. Oh, could he have been out of bounds there, Eric?
I'm not sure. It's hard to say with those all-white uniforms that Baltimore has, the white shoes and everything. It's hard to tell where the foot was when he recovered the fumble, but there's not going to be a challenge.
Oh, that is
going to take over.
That is just cruel. That is just cruel for the Portland Fleet. They did so well on that drive, and they could have even challenged it on the basis of it being an incompletion. And now that is a tough ask with 3 minutes left. The Portland Fleet have fought all game, and credit to them for the way. 2-minute warning. We're going to go for a quick break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Simulation Football League presented by APM Music on Next Level Sports. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the SFL. Coming up after the game here. And that is a run up the strong side, up to the Baltimore 37-yard line. Let's try that again, shall we? Coming up after the conclusion of this game, the 8 p.m. Music post-game update. Cameron Irvine and Mike St. Green wrap up this clash between the Vultures and the Fleet. They're going to review the Saturday slate, and they're going to preview tomorrow's Next Level Sports Sunday Showcase matchup between South Division rivals Fort Worth and Houston. Tasty game right there. It's all coming up on the post-game update. And as for this game, the Portland Fleet cruelly denied a chance to bring this game back within a single score. And now Warren Murray and T-Roy Gaines are going to finish up the timeouts, and the first down ends this game, Eric.
Yeah, first down will end the game, and you're absolutely right, Liam. Just a cruel way for this game to go down for the Fleet, as they had another good-looking drive there. They were running the no-huddle. They were doing a nice job getting yardage where they could. Just unfortunate that they had to fumble that football along the near sideline. Baltimore taking over, and as you mentioned, Baltimore looking to just run the clock out now.
2 men in the backfield. It is a run, and it is 3rd and 2. One last chance potentially for the Portland Fleet, and it will be a 3rd down conversion attempt for the Baltimore Vultures. Baltimore have been good in all facets of the game today. Not as dominant necessarily as you would normally expect out of the Vultures, but Portland have really been fighting hard, and they will go into the victory formation. Portland are going to get the ball back with probably say about 40 seconds or so left, 40 or 30.
Yeah, probably about that time frame, I'd imagine, Liam. But this is honestly very smart by Baltimore to take the knee here. Not chance anything goofy happening. Portland putting a quick touchdown on the board, and then they have the opportunity to either get the football back or something else happen on defense to get another score. So this is smart by them, I believe, to take more time off the clock, not chance anything, punt the football away, and just let your special teams and your defense slam the door shut.
Yeah, I don't want any trickery or anything. Baltimore have had their share of luck today, but they have bolstered that luck with skill, and that brings Portland up to the 25-yard line. So number 29, a bit slow to get up. Don't want to see anybody hurt here. Leo Morris has done a good job. Season 18 All-Star on both returns and on the defensive side of the ball. But Portland, this is last chance saloon. They've got to get a touchdown here and fast. And they've got to... Well, they need a miracle, Eric.
You need a lot to happen.
And that's not going to do it. There is a penalty on the play, though. I'm wondering what that's being called on. Maybe holding? Not entirely sure.
Yeah, and that's not going to do it either there, Liam.
No offensive holding on the Portland Fleet. Salt in the wound, I suspect, there for the Fleet, as they just have not had the luck today on or off the field, it seems, when it comes to challenges that have gone against them, and that fumble recovery earlier. And they will go to gun straight, that trusty no-huddle play. And they will try and get something going here. Jive takes reception, takes the snap in the shotgun, and he will throw it, and that will be a 2nd and 20 after that penalty for the offensive holding.
Yeah, Portland hung tough this entire game here, Liam. Like we said, it was just disappointing that the way that everything kind of ended for Portland. They hung tough against the Chiefs here today, and they definitely made some good adjustments. Going into the bye week this coming year, they'll make some more adjustments, put some more progressions in, and hopefully be ready to go to get their first win of season 19 in week 6.
And that might do it. I think there's one more play coming here. They're going to spike the ball on third down, so they'll have a fourth down to seal this result. And it is going to be a good victory for the Baltimore Vultures. Always a good win away from home. Tricky tie here against the Portland Fleet. 5 seconds left on the clock before we finish this one up. And Portland will come out with 4 wide receivers. They're going to go out swinging. See what they can do here.
Might as well.
Might as well. Jive takes the snap after a long delay. That is thrown, and that is... Oh, if he'd caught that, Eric, I think he might have gone to the house. He was behind the defensive backs, but... As it turns out, turnover on downs, and the Baltimore Vultures will nil this one out. I think we're at that time of the game, Eric. Who's your player of the game call for this one?
It's tough to say just because Baltimore played extremely well in all facets of the game. Just going by sheer numbers, I'd have to give it to Warren Murray. Had over 100 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, added a catch coming out of the backfield as well. I would say he and Ivory Irvin would be my 2 major contributors to the game, possibly the best chances at being players of the game.
And that'll do it. That is all over here at the shipyard, Portland, Oregon. And unfortunately for the Portland Fleet, just too much to handle in the reigning champion Baltimore Vultures. They come out with a 31-16 win. And just looking through some of the highlights here, Portland definitely had their chances. They played very well. I think this is a very serviceable team, Eric, and they're certainly not going to finish up winless if this performance is anything to go by.
No, absolutely not. And they're working with a rookie quarterback that we mentioned. Cyrus Jive did very, very well for a rookie. 23 of 32, 260 yards through the air. Had the one blemish on his resume, that interception right there to Troy Loshaw. But honestly, that was a better play by Loshaw than it was a negative play by Jive. So I feel like Portland did a very good job. They just didn't capitalize where they could. A lot of field goals on the board where there should have been touchdowns. And you just can't beat a team of Baltimore's caliber putting field goals up on the board. Early on, sure, go ahead and take the points where you can get them. But otherwise, you got to hit pay dirt and you got to hit it often in order to beat the champs.
And the numbers looking relatively even for both these teams stat-wise. But in the end of the day, the elements that Mike St. Green talked about on the halftime show, we look at that fumble call there, very controversial. But that'll do it. Player of the game, Warren Murray, indeed. You called it, Erica. 18 attempts, 132 yards and 2 touchdowns, 7.3 yards per carry. And that'll do it. For Eric Vinson, I've been Liam Crowter. This has been a presentation of the Simulation Football League. The final score here from Portland, Oregon. Final score... I've forgotten the final score. It's a win for Portland. Indeed. And this has been a presentation of the Simulation Football League. We'll send it back to the SFL studios and the post-game show from Cameron Irvine and Mike St. Green. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back to the SFL Studios for post-game along with Mike St. Green. I'm Cameron Irvine, and we sincerely apologize for the technical difficulties during tonight's game, particularly in the second half. We appreciate everyone sticking with us. 31-16, Liam, the final for Baltimore over Portland, as we were all a little frazzled there at the end. But Baltimore gets it done. Kind of a carbon copy, Mike, of the game against Los Angeles. LA got field goals instead of touchdowns. Baltimore got a couple of big plays that were difference makers. And that was it. That's all they needed.
And it's that methodical way that Baltimore, has of beating you. They can beat you with several different styles. We saw them pound the rock most of this game today. Warren Murray, 132 yards, a couple of touchdowns. We saw a lot of T-Roy gains in this game as well. These guys were sending blitz packages at Portland pretty much every play. But then, as Portland looked like kind of had a little bit of momentum there early in the third, they came away with a field goal instead of getting three after a long, double-digit play drive. All of their scoring drives were on double-digit, drives, with 10 or more plays. But they only came away with three. And then, Baltimore, typical as they do, you come away with three. They hit you with a big play, big touchdown pass to Ivory Irving. And then before you know it, these guys are up, 15, 16 points.
The late fumble, that was just I can't say it was a horrible call, Mike, because it was close. It was bang bang, but I don't know why Portland didn't challenge that. It looked like Frank Smith's first foot with possession was out of bounds, his left foot. I mean, Portland had some momentum. I don't know if they win the game, Mike, but that was a tough pill to swallow for the Fleet, who are now 0-4, and basically, if they don't go on a long winning streak now, they're done again at the bottom of the standings, and this Portland team is really struggling to turn the culture of winning around. It's just nowhere to go but up right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising, Cam, dating back to a couple of seasons ago for this team. Finished 6-6, just outside of the playoffs. Last season, everyone thought that they would take a step forward. And probably make a step and finally get into the playoffs after being in the league for, 4 seasons and started the season 0-4, 0-5 last season. And kind of knew it was going to be a struggle a little bit with a rookie quarterback. But, at the end of the day, Cyrus Jive has really performed well. But surprisingly, here these guys are at 0-4 again to start another season. And as you mentioned, these guys have to go on a run and turn things around very quickly, or they're going to be on the outside looking in again this season.
Oh, that's a good point by T-Roy Gaines in the chat, actually. Portland may have been out of challenges. I know that they had a couple of challenges. One may have not gone their way early in the game, so that could have been a part of it too. Tomorrow on Next Level Sports, Mike, let's talk Houston and Fort Worth for a sec. Kickoff at 8:45 p.m. Eastern, 7:45 p.m. local time. It's 2-1 Houston, 2-1 Fort Worth, a very competitive South as always. A lot of chirping in the offseason about branding and all sorts of stuff, Mike. So this game I feel like is going to get chippy real quick. We know that you're a Houston guy. Let's get it out of the way. Your perspective on Houston coming into this game.
It's going to be a great matchup, first and foremost. I expect not necessarily a low-scoring game, but it's definitely the defenses are going to be on display in this game. Both teams have great defensive lines. Tom Tanner, Butch Minner for Houston. These guys 5 sacks and 4 sacks respectively for Houston. And then you look at the other side with Jeff Duffy and Luther Gahn, who came over from Louisiana last season on that Fort Worth defensive line. They're going to be great and tough to deal with tomorrow. Both teams have great secondaries. Low for Houston, and a great secondary over there with Sicario and Leach and guys like that over there for Fort Worth. So going to be a great defensive matchup. Going to be a tough, tight game. Going to probably be 1 score or less, 6 points or less is what I expect tomorrow. May the best team win, but it's going to be a great matchup as far as whoever wins this game is going to be 3-1 and have a big leg up in that South Division.
a 24-20, something like that. That's
Yeah.
what this game's kind of got written all over it. Both teams can play some pretty good defense at times. Don't forget Jeff Duffy, Jerry Degond on the defensive front for Fort Worth on the other side. Of course, it used to be the Horrell Bowl. David Horrell with Fort Worth and Houston.
Yeah.
Now he's in Seattle, so it takes on a new twist to the rivalry, but still a good one. And Fort Worth has done well against Houston in the past. I believe the series is 4-2 in favor of the Toros. So that should be a great game. That's tomorrow, 8:45 p.m. Eastern here on Next Level Sports. And before we go, we've got 2 games coming up across the SFL family of networks tonight. That's Los Angeles and Vancouver coming up in about 15 minutes on Rare Drop Sports, and then Canton and Tulsa over on our YouTube channel. We touched on LA and Vancouver a little bit earlier in this game, Mike. So how about Canton and Tulsa, the Classics, trying to get off the mat and get their first win as an expansion franchise? Tulsa has already lost to one expansion team, Minnesota, trying not to have that happen again tonight.
Yeah, Canton, they coming off that big 30-point, comeback win from Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago. These guys are kind of reeling a little bit, trying to get things back, in hand after thinking they were going to pull off their first win in franchise history. And as you mentioned, Tulsa losing, to Minnesota, but it's going to be a tough team for Canton to try to, get right against. Douglas Brown's great on the ground. Tulsa made the playoffs last season, kind of struggling out the gate a little bit. So we'll see if they can get some things turned around at home. It's going to be an interesting matchup to see if the Desperados can get back to 500.
And check that, Tulsa lost to Motor City in Week 1, not Minnesota. Too many M teams, Mr. M, Mike St. Green, to compile in our head. But stay tuned for that action tonight across the SFL family of networks, and to Fort Worth and Houston, our Sunday showcase game tomorrow on Next Level Sports. Final score, Baltimore 31, Portland 16. The Vultures, defending champs, continue to roll. They are 4-0. Portland drops to 0-4 in the doghouse at the bottom of the standings. For Mike St. Green, I'm Cameron Irvine. Thank you to all of us at SFL Studios, on SFL staffs, on SFL teams, and to you out there, SFL fans as well. Hope to see you in our Discord server sometime. Pop in, say hi. But for now, that's it for us at the SFL, presented by APM Music here on Next Level Sports. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Good night, everybody.